What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to Mastercrafted. Today, we're doing another Mind Over Meta, talking about the very few results we had. But, I feel like it's validating some of the hotter takes we had from our tier list this last week. Phil, what do you think?
The only explanation is there's no one else that knows the meta better than Mastercrafted, so that's why you need to tune in. We know exactly what's going to happen. We can call it right now, and all our takes are, although very hot and very spicy, are correct.
Yeah, most people were putting Chaos Demons down in like C tier, and we're just like, you know what? Fuck it, they're goated. And this weekend, it was proven they did great.
They did do great. They did do great. So our good friend Frankie helped us out, gave us another week of win rates. I will caveat this with, obviously we don't have a lot of tournaments. Obviously we don't have a lot of data, but hilariously, Chaos Demons at the top. Both of those are big birds. We have one of the lists that we're going to be talking about, but I love this detachment. I think it is one of the most lore accurate detachments out there, and it's just like so fun. It's Scintillating Legion. It's cracked. Big birds are at 3 damage now. Who doesn't love it? Everyone that plays into it doesn't love it. But you know what? It's cool. It's fun. I love seeing big birds.
Yeah, they came out swinging right off the rip, That's awesome. You love to see it. It's been a minute. Like, it did well on release, I feel like. When they released Scintillating Legion, a couple people played it, and then it pretty much just was like, nah, not really the way to play still. People didn't really love it, stick with it. But now, damage is consistent, and running at least 2 Lords of Change and Kairos, and then probably Be'lakor, seems to just be like such a big a big core of what really makes it function, because the damage output is actually pretty spicy. It's got great strats. Like you were saying, it's very lore accurate, very flavorful. Some of the weirdest crap you can do in 40k, I would say, when it comes to some of the strats, which when we go over the list. I don't want to digress on it too long. We'll talk about the meta first a little bit. Up next, another S tier army just down in the slums. Astra Militarum, it's not broken. You don't need to worry. Obviously, only a 34% win rate. Must not be good, Phil. I guess, we do have hot takes, but apparently that one just we're off, man. How could we have gone so wrong with guard?
Yeah, I think there might be a little bit of a lull in players available. I still think Astra Militarum will get some touches in the next data slate, but obviously my GSC is equally as bad, so we could use some buffs as well. So GSC, Space Wolves, Imperial Agents is better than both of them, so that's the only explanation is Imperial Agents got a soft buff after the data slate. They're getting better. Yeah, I do not invest a lot of time or energy in this. We are not going to spend a lot of time on this because, unfortunately, during the holidays, this is what it is. People want to spend time with their friends and family, but we want to talk about 40k, and we are spending that time with you. So, what can we glean from the past couple weeks of data? We've got a lot of comments from a lot of players that are concerned about their own factions, that have questions about ours, our hot takes on them. So, Lane, why don't you give me a couple softballs? What were some of the things that people were saying, especially regarding our takes on a couple of the other armies that are currently in the meta right now?
Well, I mean, I feel like we might as well just run through it one more time, Phil. I haven't seen you posting enough answering people, not only in the comments, but in the Discord. We said Black Templars don't suck, and their 2 players this weekend did not have success, Phil. So, one more time, hit us with that pep talk.
Yeah.
Let us know why they aren't that bad.
Okay, guys and gals, listen to me very, very closely. A good army is based on the tools that it has access to. Your army only went up 60 points. Yes. Does that mean you don't like your top tier, quote unquote, top tier army is now like down another trading piece, or maybe you have to downgrade one of the Sword Brethren brick to Assault Intercessors, or maybe you have to drop one of the characters. Like, there's a bunch of different things that you could do. Your army has access to the best attachment in the game, Gladius. Your army has access to reroll all hits on multiple units for rep X's, some of the most lethal shooting platforms in the game. Your army has access to +1 to wound, sticky into an action, and fall back and shoot. I think it's fall back, shoot, and charge. Like, you get out of the vows, you get those 3, and you get a reactive move, and you get fight on death, and you get AOC. Guys, what are we doing? This army is fine. Boo hoo, you went up 60 points. Boo freaking hoo. Okay? Like, oh my god, you have a lot of 2 damage weapons, -1 damage sucks. Great. That means you need to fight in 2 places. That means when you activate, you have to put value into 2 different locations, or you have to shoot them with your obnoxious Rep-X shooting platforms where the -1 damage doesn't mean anything. Or they charge into you and you have fight on death with built-in rerolls, built-in lethals on 5-up crits with Castellans and Marshals, or Gamaldus with +1 toughness, or whatever else you take with them, or Helbrecht, like, or just like your generic assault intercessors on foot. Reroll all wounds on objectives. They'll have +1 to wound the majority of the time. If you give, like, this army is good. It is fine. Please stop. Okay? It will be okay. You just have to deviate from what the cookie cutter army was to now deviate to make a couple different choices. Yes. Do you look back and say, man, I remember the days when I was cheap enough, I could take 3 units of sword rowers and pack them out with characters, and I could have all these killing units? Like, yeah, that was awesome for you. And as someone who went into that and played it a few times, it was a little obnoxious because you could literally just close your eyes and run at things, and they just died. I get the argument. It's like, well, wardens are all custodies take. So, there was a comment. Wardens are all that custodies take, but they drop points on everything else. They didn't drop points on wardens. Do you know where the win rate has been for custodies these past like 2 months? Like, are they winning GTs? Are they winning tournaments? No, absolutely not. And any competitive player will tell you that custodies are by no means a good singles army. They are one-dimensional. They rely on 4-up involves, and our main unit, which is wardens, we rely on them because that is the only way they can be effective. Is that disappointing for an army? Yes, absolutely. But it does mean that they are very one-dimensional and they are in no position to compete. Black Templars can compete for a GT right now. They hunt everything in this meta. Everything. They are so good. Okay, off my soapbox. That's it, Lane. I'm done. Like,
I just want to, as a non-Black Templars player, I am just going to add a little, right? And I think this will hopefully kind of like put some perspective on it. When Black Templars came out, right, all I ever saw was people putting sword bros with characters in a Rep-X, and they just did that 3 times, right? Do you know how many times the first or even probably the second unit of sword bros just traded down so insanely fucking hard because they didn't have an earlier piece, right? Like, now it's like, oh man, now I actually have to be like, okay, well, I need to position my actual package that I'm going to have to deliver around turn 3 that needs to hit something. It needs to be here. My early trading piece needs to be here. You can't just go, well, I'm going to put 3 units of sword bros in 3 Rep-X's, and that's just my list. And it won't matter where you try to push because I'll just have 3 sword bros and 3 Rep-X's. So I'm just fine, right? Now you actually have to plan. You have to take a little time and be like, okay, I need to layer my points to work efficiently, to work effectively. This can go clear a screen. That's all the more points I need to have in it, right? I still maybe want Helbrecht and some sword bros to really be a hammer unit. Okay, cool. I'm saving that. I'm going to keep it in my Rep-X that's going to play safe and then push into the midboard late so that they can stage when they need to. Sure.
Yeah.
You can't just spam 3 units of sword bros, but you never needed to. They always traded down so insanely hard. Yeah, the threat of them was always nice, but you didn't have to have them. And now you don't get to. You'll do fine. You just take, so it's going to take a little more planning. It is definitely harder. I'm not saying that it isn't, but it's still definitely doable. You just actually have to have a more solid game plan. Say, this is what I need to trade. This is all the more points I can put into that unit, and I'm going to do so that way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like, and you're still Space Marines. You have access to the most amount of data sheets. Like, you put full ranges of chaos, like the whole chaos range, you put them to shame because the amount of units that you have access to. You're telling me there's not a solution there? You're telling me assault intercessors or JPI or even like dreadnoughts, like whatever it is that you want to take, you're telling me there's not a solution there? You're telling me it's just like too difficult to find what the pattern of play is going to be to get them to success? I don't believe you. I've seen it on the table enough times. I play Space Marines myself. There is plenty of tools there, and it's because the tools that you do have are the best in the game. You have access to advance and charge. You have access to fallback shoot and charge. You have access to Storm of Fire, which is probably makes Rep-X's the most gross. Like +1 AP and ignore cover. Cool. That's AP 5 on the big cannons and just no cover. If you don't have an invul, you just take it to the face.
And we're not saying the grass isn't bluer on the other side of the galaxy, right? It is better over there, sure, but you can still do it. All right. You believe in your crusade. You take your Black Templars to the table and you prove that you can do it. We believe in you.
Yeah.
Yes. But enough about them. Phil, we have to address one other thing. We didn't have Deathwatch in our tier list, and some people noticed. I feel like it's only right that you rectify that as not only the player who forgot them, but as our local expert. We got to know where they land.
Death Watcher A tier. They are one of the most lethal armies in the game. Now that Eldar aren't as scary as in traditional Eldar, that was one of their boogeymen. EC, another one of their boogeymen, and they got knocked down because those flying demon princes would hunt you and they were so fast. The meta keeps coming down around it. And our last status slate or points that we saw on Deathwatch was the Indomitable bricks going down and the Fortis bricks going down. For some reason, they gave us a discount on both. They shouldn't have. Deathwatch were perfectly fine. Deathwatch are still one of the best armies in the game. They are fantastic. They are a great singles army. They're a great teams army on GW layouts. Definitely would not take them on WCC, but GW layouts, they're very, very good. And I like them a lot. And they're one of my favorite armies, as the stats show. They're one of my most played armies. I did pretty well with them this year. Yeah, very enjoyable.
Yeah, A tier for sure. Blessed by the dark gods, as we say, thanks to Mike now. Very good army. Another army that we put in S tier, I feel is worth talking about. They got their first GT win, though not officially. It's not in our data, but our boy Cody Giroux did pick up a GT win at a non-ITC GT, but it still counts in our book. It's not on the data, but we couldn't really collect the whole tournament. We just kind of knew about his performance. But he took it with the shoot. What is the
Spectacle of
detachment?
Spite.
There we go. Yeah. So big shout out to Cody. Congrats, buddy. Way to go pick up a dub. Yeah. Drakari, S tier, man. They are good.
We will continue to see this number rise. Like 60% is obviously very high. They might drop a little bit when we get back, but in terms of armies that we will see at the top of this meta, it's gonna be Drakari. It's gonna be Chaos Demons. Sisters will still be up there. Excuse me. Admech is still in a great spot. Blood Angels, T-Suns, Tau, Space Marines, right? Like 2 undefeateds, but no GT wins. That's still 2 undefeateds. We are blessed for choice with factions that are in such a good spot. Do some of them rely on certain detachments? Yes, absolutely. But we're in a position where everyone's toys has play at the competitive level. So if that's what you want to do, great. But Frankie said it, and we've talked about it before. Mike said it as well. Don't rely on this stuff. Don't rely on win rates to tell you that your army is good. If that was the case, Lane would never play guard because apparently, like up to this point, and even now, guard players like it. It is not. There are times when the guard army struggles with one-dimensional play, and you have to take certain units for it to be effective. Now, with the new Grizzled Company, we will see that number go up, which I think is really interesting. But overall, like we are blessed for choice right now.
Yeah, it's we talked about it. It's going to take a minute to get like a really good data slate set for us to really review. It'll probably be late January. We'll probably do just like so far in this data slate, kind of the first month review. I think will be something we'll try to do because it's really going to take a minute with all the holidays, travel, and everything to really get some actual numbers on how well these factions are doing. So very much looking forward to that. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and kick it over and look at that army list that we picked for this week. It was Scintillating Legion by Adam Weinstein. He won the Portal Winter GT. Phil, what all do you have?
Yeah, so obviously, as Lane said, this is Scintillating Legion. We got Be'lakor, Eros, the daddy bird, 2 big birds, one with an escapable eye, one with Infernal Puppeteer, a 3-mana Nurglings, 1, 2, 3 squads of Flamers, 1 6-man, 2 3-mans, a unit of Fleshhounds for up, be down. They probably screen out the backfield, and then 3 units of Screamers, 2 6-mans, and a 3-man. 2,000 points right on the nose. Overall, as we talked about, this is kind of what we're going to expect to see. Unless this gets touched, like, this is going to be very good. That, it sounds crazy that the only change was Big Bird's going to damage 3, but that was a huge issue for them. And I will tell you right now, this detachment is insane. Like, It really is. Let's go over, Lane, any thoughts on the list, first of all, before we remind
I
people of
I
what this
do really
does?
like it. There was another version this week that won a GT that was not big enough, right? It didn't meet our 28 player minimum to make it on. It did win. It took a third Lord of Change and just was 2x3 flamers and 2x3 screamers. It's like all the the only other thing it took. Very light on the pieces. I do think that this style, being some more trading pieces, having some more scoring pieces, I think this is a
Yeah.
much more consistent way to play the game. The other one, you were just hoping to blast your opponent off the table and try to say, hey, well, you have to try to come within 18. And then when they do, they're just going to get bapped by 4 big birds and Bellicor. Totally fair. It's solid. But I just feel like, there's just so many really good trading pieces in this list. You can commit just small units of flamers to give line of sight to your indirect bird, also just be very good at picking up screens on its own. Like you just get a lot of value, I feel like, out of this list with Scintillating Legion. And it's really going to let you do what you would like to do with it, which is by time. Anytime you have multiple indirect pieces, the longer you can kind of just be hammering your opponent without them effectively putting damage on you onto your big pieces, I think it's just super, super strong. This list does that very well. You also have some extra help with the 2x6 screamers that can actually do some pretty good damage with the anti monster vehicle 4-up on their profile. They still hit pretty hard. Flyover mortals, you can string them out for line of sight. It's just all very, very solid. I think this is a great list.
Yeah. Yeah, this is what we're going to see. Be prepared. The big birds are coming. But let's do a little bit of a refresher because this detachment is very strange. And for the majority of players, you have never seen this detachment before. So it's good to understand because this is probably, like I said in the beginning, this is probably one of the most thematic detachments in 40k, I believe, because it is so zinchy and cool. But you have to be prepared because it does things differently. So I just pull it up real quick so everyone can kind of see what it is that we're looking at. So the detachment rule is Fates in Flux. They have flux tokens. I would recommend, if you're running this detachment, is to just have different colored die that you can use to pass to your opponent and pass back, because that is the way it works. So you start the battle round with 3 flux tokens. You can spend 1 flux token just after an advance roll, hit roll, wound roll, damage roll, saving throw, or hazardous test is made for Legions, Demonica, Zinch models, or Zinch demons. And then you can use it to re-roll the results of that roll, throw, or test. Flux tokens can also be spent to enhance stratagems. We'll go over those in a second, but you can use it to make the stratagem better, which is awesome. And then each time you spend a flux token, reduce the amount of flux tokens you have in your pool, and your opponent gains 1. So that's why I'm saying use the dice. Like, get some cool, like, Zinchy dice and be like, here you go, here's a Zinch dice just for you after you use it for yourself. And then when your opponent has flux tokens, they can spend theirs for an advance roll, hit roll, wound roll, or saving throw, and then is made for a model from your army to reroll the results of that. If they do, they lose that flux token after they spend it, and then you gain 1 flux token back. And then in your command phase, if your opponent has 1 or more flux tokens, you gain 1 flux token. So if they're hoarding them, you will still get an additional 1. So right off the bat, how do you feel about flux tokens, Lane? What is that like? How does that make you feel?
They're such a nice, like, it's nice to have that like extra economy. And this is one of the most interactive versions of like a detachment rule, where not only do you get to use your detachment rule, but your opponent does as well. I think, Mike was saying, like, you don't really have non-fun games when you're playing with this, even as like your opponent, because it's just like it brings back a lot of like some of the randomness that a lot of people feel like 10th is maybe missing. All these extra dice rolls, they're super cool. They're super thematic for Zinch. And it's one of those things where it benefits you more as the detachment, like as the Scintillating Legion player, to use them. And as much as your opponent is like, oh, well, awesome, I'll just, now I have free rerolls. Not really free, because then you give them back the Zinch player and they just get to use them for more things, better things, like their stratagems. We'll get to their stratagems. Having flex tokens to do that stuff is very, very good. And the other problem is there's an enhancement that's probably one of the, like, it's the second most auto take, right? You can't not take the indirect fire from Infernal Puppeteer, but in his Inescapable Eye, if your opponent is stuck with a flex token, you gain an extra in your command phase. So you're not just gaining 1, you're gaining 2. Like, it's just, they're so handy. And being able to have those, I think especially the rerolls is nice, don't get me wrong. But the stratagems, some of the stratagems just pop off when you have the flex tokens to go with them.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's just so fun. So, Lane, you already said the first one, Inescapable Buy. Can you believe that's only 10 points? I can. That's kind of good.
Very good.
Infernal Puppeteer, Lane already mentioned. Each time the bearer is selected to shoot, you can select one other friendly Legion's Demonica unit within 9 of the bearer. If you do, when selecting targets for ranged weapons equipped by the bearer, you can measure range and determine visibility from one of your models of your choice in the select unit instead. So you can use um, another demon model to shoot one of your big birds through. Like demon model is 9 inches away, big bird can shoot through demon model, even if it's another big bird, and, and chain out these strikes and not have to expose a big bird to really put 2 units into something, which is like so valuable. Like I don't have to expose 2 big birds to put 2 big birds into you. That's awesome. Um, Neverblade is another Legion's Tzeentch model only. Improve the strength characteristic of melee weapons equipped by the bearer by 2, and attacks an AP of melee weapons equipped by 1. And each time the bearer makes a melee attack, add 1 to the hit roll. This is cute. You don't want your big birds in combat. That is not where they shine. This is a nice ability. If I had 20 points, sure, but we're pretty tight everywhere else.
Yeah,
And
I think
then improbable,
that's going on a demon prince, if anything,
sure.
if you're planning to take that. But yeah.
Yep. Yep. And then Improbable Shield, Aura, a Tzeentch model only, while friendly Tzeentch models within 6 of the bearer. Models in that unit have the Feel No Pain against psychic attacks and mortal wounds. That's pretty good. 4 up Feel No Pain against mortal wounds and psychics is like the one thing demons don't want to see. Wouldn't be upset. Those are 4 good enhancements. I like those a lot. The first 2 are like the most important.
Yeah, and if you have an improbable, like if we see scintillating take off, you're not going to be able to not take improbable shield, because if one player has it and the other doesn't, the one without it just auto loses in the mirror match, because so many of their attacks are considered psychic that if you have the feel no pain and they don't, or vice versa, like it just, the swing in that game is unbelievable.
Sure.
And then I do want to say, Infernal Puppeteer, that like you can extend your reign crazy far, because you only have to be within 9 inches of the unit, but you can select any unit or any model within that unit. So if you're strung out like that unit of 6 flamers, let's say, you're just like, screw it, I'm going to deep strike them in, I'm going to chain them out here, and I'm going to shoot you 40 inches away, even though I have an 18-inch range gun, because by the time you add all of those together, like you can see across the board, which is insane. There is right now, I do want to address it, and please in the comments, let us know what you think. There's a big discussion as rules is written versus rules is intended when it comes to selecting targets for this and the way that's supposed to work with indirect fire. Some people are saying that if the bird can actually see any targets, it can't be selected to shoot because it doesn't have any targets to select in the first place. But rules is intended, we're pretty like, I don't know, the vast majority of people are like, yeah, this is just waiting on an FAQ, very similar to the obliterators. It should be like the equivalent of indirect fire. It's just a timing issue. So
Sure.
let us know what you think.
Yeah, it's an
Yell at each
interesting
other in
one
the
for sure.
comments. We love to see it.
Okay, let's go over these strats. Because Lane, as we said, they're weird. They are weird strats, but they are good strats. So, Impossible Eclipse, any phase, 1 Tzeentch demon model from your army that is on the battlefield, and then select No Man's Land or your opponent's deployment zone, or spend 1 flux token, you get both, and then everyone's within your Shadow of Chaos. It's either the opponent's deployment zone or yours, you auto get Shadow of Chaos without having to control more in either of those regions. Kind of nice for 1 CP. Pretty good.
Yeah. It can.
Pyro.
Oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
I was saying it could really kind of help when like you've done some damage, but you're not really like close to trigger your army rule of having to take some mortals and stuff. Very niche, very very niche, but can be useful.
All right. So the next strat, Pyrogenesis. This is now 1 CP. It's your shooting phase or fight phase. 1 Legion's demonic Tzeentch unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot or fight until the end of the phase. Add 2 to the tank characteristic of weapons equipped by models in your unit, or spend 1 flex token and add 3 strength to the characteristic of those weapons and improve the AP characteristics of those weapons by 1 instead. So as we said, the flux token just makes it better. Plus 3 strength, plus 1 AP. Sounds like it's going on a big bird.
Yeah, you're probably spending this every single turn. It's just so good. Extra AP, especially when you're indirect firing. Even if you're not, things just always have cover in 10th edition. So being able to negate that, always great.
Yeah. All right. those are relatively normal, right? Like
Yeah.
+2 strength, +1 AP, Shadow of Chaos, Sound Cute. Flickering Reality, the first time I played into it, and still to this day lives in my head rent free. Listen to this ability, okay? It's only 5 phase only. One Demon Zinch model from your army that has been selected as the target of one or more attacking units' attacks. I'm gonna read this and then I'm gonna explain it because it's very strange and just so you understand. Roll 1d6. Then you can spend one flux token to re-roll the result until the end of the phase. Each time an attack targets your unit on an unmodified hit roll, after any reroll of that result, the attack sequence ends even if the original hit roll would have been a critical hit. What does that mean? The way this is going to work is the Zinch player is going to roll a dice. They have a flux token. If they have one, they can spend that flux token to re-roll that result. Whatever the number is on that, if you roll that to hit, that does not count as a hit. It is just removed. Now, this specifically says you can re-roll it. Great. So if you have Oath, if you have rerolls to hit, you would take those out. You would reroll those because they're not going to count as a hit. But let's say, hypothetically, you have lethal hits and your opponent rolled a 6. That means you won't get lethal hits. And all of those 6s count as misses, that they just end. Let's say you have crits on 5s and 6s. Well, if your opponent rolls a 5 or a 6, they don't count as hits. And it's 1 CP. This is so underratedly good because it messes with, like, just the fact that your opponent could do this, I think messes with players more than the actual act of it being, actual act of it happening.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so stressful. I think this is maybe one of the it's the most casino-y thing in there, right? Like they could roll a 2 into a 2 and you just miss on 2s anyway, right? Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But if they rolled a 6 and you're like, man, I just like without lethal hits, I just do not kill whatever this is. This big bird, probably, right? Lethal hits would be great against a nice big target like that. Nope,
Yep.
those are gone. Not only do I not get lethal hits, I don't even get those attacks as successes anymore. Like if I have rerolls, thankfully I can pick those up and re-roll them, right? But like it is, whew, man. And at least it doesn't take effect until after the rerolls, right?
Yeah.
Because like if it didn't and it's just like nope, it just stops any that are this, right? Like even a 1 could also be like, well, that sucks. Like if somebody has reroll 1s to hit and if it were to affect earlier in the phase, oh god,
Yeah.
even that would be like, man, that really fucks with my efficiency. But yeah,
Yeah.
such a casino-y thing. Thank God it's only in the fight phase. I don't play with that phase much. I don't really care. You know, whatever.
If this was in the shooting phase too, holy shit,
That
that would
would
be pretty
be
good.
maybe the most spam strat. I mean, just if it was available in every phase, if I was playing this, I'd be spamming that every chance I could. It's just such a fun. We'll see. Maybe you do damage this phase. Maybe you don't. Who knows?
Yeah. Very Zinchy. Very Zinchy. So yes, obviously, as you can tell, Lane and I really like this strat. It's quite fun. Faderborn Nightmares, your movement phase or charge phase. Demon Zinch unit from your army until the end of the phase. Each time a model in your unit makes a move, it can move through terrain features. Your movement phase or charge phase. That's really nice. It's really good. It's 1 CP. And go on all Demon Zinch units. Fickle Fire, one, obviously, Zinch Demon unit from your army that is within engagement range of one or more enemy units. Until the end of the phase, enemy units are not considered to be within engagement range of your unit for the purpose of selecting targets for and resolving attacks with ranged weapon until the end of the phase. Each time an enemy model is destroyed, while it is within engagement range of your unit, roll 1d6 on a 5-up. Your unit suffers 1 mortal wound after the attacking unit has finished making its attacks. Lane, can you think of an army that this would be good into?
Oh man, probably like like a nice S tier army. Something that's like probably trying to like charge you in your own movement phase. Might be nice, right? Instead of just being able to be charged with like Lilith or something into your flamers or even your pink horrors, you can just go ahead and spray them down with your flamers at 411 and it just doesn't even matter. Like that's literally taking the most effective strat on the table for that detachment off of the table with your flamers because it is just very, very solid.
Yeah. You literally just box up all the witches that come out and you say, you're only charging me in one location. And the place that you charge me, I am flaming the shit out of them and I will kill them. And the other ones are just dying for free as well. So this stratagem makes Zinch demons probably one of the better counters into Spectacle Spike. Like that strat alone, very good. And is, as long as you build properly, you're going to be in a great position into those armies. Last one, end of your opponent's fight phase, one Tzeentch Demon unit from your army that is not within engagement range of one or more enemy units. Alternatively, you can spend one Flux token when you use this stratagem and target up to two Tzeentch Demon units from your army instead, including those within engagement range of one or more enemy units. You can remove your units from the battlefield and place them into strat reserves. So this is either one Tzeentch Demon unit or two Tzeentch Demon units. As of right now, there's no consideration for monster. So I could pick up two big birds, or I could pick up Kairos, or I could pick up Flamers, or I could pick
Yeah.
up Pinks. Doesn't matter. It is very good.
Yeah, it really allows you, especially like that's one of the biggest problems they struggle with, right? Is kind of that short range, 18 inches, 24 inches for Kairos. Like they just don't shoot super, super far. So having the ability, especially with Bellicor, to be like, all right, I'm going to shoot down this shooting lane. I'm going to pick up Kairos and my indirect bird. And then I have, likely you're probably keeping like a unit of flamers or something in reserve, right? You can completely shift, send Bellicor screaming across the board, advancement if you need to. He's probably not shooting anything. He's there to keep you alive. Send him across the board, deep strike in two more birds because you measured out where they can or cannot get to with your 18-inch lone op. Maybe drop a unit of flamers to give you extra line of sight for your indirect Lord of Change, and then you're just going to pop something else off the table before you get to the end of their next movement phase or end of their next fight phase. You go, all right, well, we killed the thing over here. Let's run back over there and put two birds into that side of the board again. It's just the most mobile artillery army in the game right now. Yeah, it's good, man.
Yeah, you got to run them down for sure. You're going to get one chance at it. Like if your army just isn't fast enough, you're going to really struggle with this because as Lane's saying, at the end of your opponent's fight phase, they're just going to get picked back up. So if you can't put realistic shooting or combat or run these big birds down, they're just going to keep hopping across every time. And if I'll be honest, if they can do that like twice, game's probably over. Like if they can go twice and go into things that are valuable, you're probably done.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, it's if you go first against this army, it can also just be very like you are just trying to push up, right? Like just take up the board space. Don't let them up down anywhere aggressively, right? Force their hand. Try to make them have to deal with you while screening your backline. Can't forget that. You can't just run at them. But if you can take that space early and really try to force the fight while you have extra units, and then you can really just start boxing within that 18-inch, you have a better chance of dealing with an army like this. Otherwise, I don't know what to tell you. Try to knock out all their scoring pieces so they have to spread their birds out onto objectives. Like that's like those are your two paths to victory. If you're going second, maybe try the second one, right? Try to whittle them down a little bit. The other thing is keep some things off the table, right? Let them up, down, and choose where to go, and then be like, cool. I'm going to rapid ingress a big anti-monster, anti-vehicle unit that can knock one out effectively, right? You need to be prepared to do that. They're going to be very mobile. You need to have responses ready that are off the board and ready to go. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to do it. And you need to make sure you're cleaning the chaff so they can't screen those rapids out either.
But, when we talk about evaluating an army, this army has mobility, it has decent indirect, it has a lot of damage 3 shooting, it has 18-inch lone op, it has great toughness, it has some unique interactions in combat, it has ways to buff your thing, and it has a great detachment rule with what I would say was 4 good enhancements. So overall, like I love this detachment. It played it into Patrick last year at the GT, and I lost into it, and that was when the birds were damaged too. So it's like the birds are just better now, and the meta as a whole definitely fits an army like this. So if you're not prepared for big birds, be prepared for big birds. They are quite good. Quite good.
Quite good. And I know this was a little bit of a digression, not quite just Meta Monday or Mind Over Meta, I should say. Yeah, but it's just worth it. Scintillating Legion is going to be coming to a GT near you. Let's put it that way. Somebody's going to be running it. It is good, and we want to make sure y'all are prepared for it.
Yep. Because that's the goal. We want to help you as much as we possibly can. So hopefully you learned something from this video. If you have any questions, comments, hit us up in the comments. Join the Discord. We love to hear from y'all. We are about to hit a year mark. We are very close, and on top of that, we're about to hit 2,000 subscribers. So Lane and I, we can't thank y'all enough. We have some big tournaments after this break period. So Lane and I are going to Las Vegas teams. We're taking a 5-man of teams down there for Mastercrafted. We're so excited for that. And then January 17th and 18th will be the Denver GT. That'll be streamed on the Mastercrafted channel. So please tune in. Joe from War Games Live will also be streaming. So we're going to have a great setup there, and we're really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it should be a blast. We really look forward to seeing y'all. Come say hi in Vegas if you're there. Always love interacting with the community. And do not forget that victory isn't given, it is forged, and it's forged right here on Mastercrafted. We'll see y'all next time.
Talk to you later, guys.